announcements. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. On your way out, please look at the table on your right. The Community Council has a great event coming up on October 18th. It's our first annual safety fair. This time of year, we normally put on a free AED CPR training. We've expanded to a huge safety fair. It's going to be in this parking lot over here. There's going to be 28 vendors. We're going to have the Bloodmobile, the kids safety trailer, some other trailers. We're going to have free fingerprinting, free demonstrations. The K9 unit's going to be here to do free demonstrations. Lots of free giveaways, and the key word to this whole event is free, free, free. It's open up to anyone, not just RV residents of all ages, and food, refreshments, demonstrations, prizes, everything for free. So we hope you can make it. That's October 18th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's our announcements, and Rancho Penasquito's Town Council has a couple announcements, and then we'll get started.
Thank you, Robin. My name is Melinda Vasquez, and Rancho Penasquito's Town Council is also sponsoring this event, and we're happy to do so. We have a lot of people from both Rancho Bernardo and Rancho Penasquitos, and as well as Poway that are here tonight. And we applaud you guys for stepping up and trying to make a difference. That's something that we should all do on a regular basis. I know that's the feeling that we have at the Town Council. One of the other upcoming events that we have for the Rancho Penasquito's Town Council is a candidate forum at the Doubletree Hotel on October 15th for District 6, which is not applicable obviously to people in Rancho Bernardo. However, it is to our fellow residents of Penasquitos, and we have a candidate forum on October 22nd at the Doubletree Hotel for Congressional District 52. So we hope that you guys will come out and listen to other candidates as well as the candidates we have tonight. So thank you. With that, I end.
So this is how the evening's going to go. We have all 8 candidates here this evening. They pre-picked a number when they walked in, so that's how they're seated, 1 through 8. Each candidate will give a 2-minute opening remark, starting with TJ, working them all down to Katie. Then they will be asked questions. Allison Ash from Channel 10 News is our moderator this evening. She will be asking the questions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer the questions. We have our timer over here that says 2 minutes for the 90 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. At the 30-second mark, you'll see that. That means you have 30 seconds. When it hits stop, we will interrupt you. And for those of you who don't know me, I crack a whip and I stop you in midstream, and I stop you. So be prepared to be stopped. And then each candidate will get 2 minutes for a closing remarks. And they will be taking turns, and Allison knows just how to do it. So with that, yes, ma'am.
8 candidates for how many positions?
There are 3 positions, and there are 2 incumbents and 5 people who are not incumbents, all running for 3 positions. 6 people. Don't stay. There's 2 incumbents and 6 people who are not incumbents. So with that, Allison will start the forum.
And thank you, Robin. I'm excited that you're going to cut me off. I don't have to. That's
I'm standing here to crack it.
That is awesome. Thanks everybody for coming. This is an important election you guys have coming up. A lot on the table, and it's great, as these gals said, that so many people are stepping up and want to run the show. So let's get this show going. Is everybody okay if I don't use the microphone? I think it's a small enough group and I'm loud enough. Do you need a microphone?
There is a microphone on the table that they'll all share.
Okay.
I forgot to
Because I
mention
can
that.
pass this one too. Okay. Let's start. Everybody has the 2 minutes to give their statement, and we will start first with you, TJ.
Well, thank you, Allison. I'm not accustomed to going first, but the last name is Zane. I just want to thank briefly Melinda and Robin and their respective town councils for hosting this evening, and Allison for moderating. You're right, it is an important election, and I'm heartened that there are so many people seeking election to the Poway Unified School Board. I'll use my time briefly to give a biographical sketch and focus on some highlights of my platform, and I look forward to taking your questions later on. I'm a native East Coaster, born and raised in Connecticut, went to school to public schools, and then I went to the University of Pennsylvania. When I graduated Penn, I worked in Washington, D.C., and before I moved out to, San Diego in 1997. I've been a political and public affairs professional since that time, and some of you may have seen me either fighting a good fight, defeating a sales tax increase in the city of San Diego. I chaired that effort, or chairing the effort for pension reform in the city of San Diego. Like many of you here, I was upset when I saw the news regarding the capital appreciation bond in Poway. I understand there was a complex set of circumstances that led to that. I think the most upsetting thing for me was the fact that it was a non-callable bond. Perhaps it might have been worth a higher premium just to have the bonds callable. Be that as it may, I don't think there's anybody sitting up here at the table right now who would vote on such bonds in the future, including myself. I'm primarily interested in retaining quality teachers. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the Poway Federation of Teachers. The financial sustainability of the district. I'm the only school board in the state with the endorsement of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. And maintaining local standards for education, what I refer to as Poway Unified Standards for Education. I'm the president of Los Penn Academy Foundation, the director of No Excuses University Foundation, and chairman of the Black Mountain District Boy Scouts of America. I mentioned some of my endorsements, including the Republican Party, the Lincoln Club, Councilman Mark Kersey, Senator Anderson, and former Councilman Tony Young, and many others. Thank you.
Well done, right on time.
Michelle.
Good evening. Is this loud enough? I don't want to blow everybody out. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe, and I'm also running for Poway Unified School Board. I think we all know that our district is a great district. We're filled with great schools and wonderful teachers and staff, and we have fantastic, engaged parents in this community. But I think we can do even better. When parents and community members get involved in school decisions, great things happen. But I think that our current school board hasn't done enough to encourage that involvement or to earn the public's trust, our trust. And I have a plan to fix that, to bring positive change for our kids and our whole community. My plan is to act, ACT, to bring more A, accountability, C, communication, and T, transparency to our district. So what does that mean? First, accountability. More accountability means that the district has to publicly report, explain, and answer for all of its decisions. Communication. More communication means the district has to increase community engagement. We got to provide more information and more opportunities for input and make sure that we respond when we get it. And I say we. I'm already on the board. There we go. More transparency. This means that the district has to make important information more accessible to the public. We've got to make it easier to find and easier to understand. So I believe that these improvements will make our district stronger and our kids will reap the rewards of this. So a little about me. I'm the right person for this job. I'm the daughter of 2 Poway Unified School District teachers. I went to school here in the district from kindergarten through high school graduation, and I went on to receive additional fantastic education from Stanford University and UC Hastings Law. I'm involved in my kids' school, in the PTA, school site council. I'm involved in the community. I'm on the Rancho Penasquitos Town Council. I'm Michelle O'Connor Ratcliffe. I'll fight hard every day to put our children first, and I'd appreciate your support and your vote.
Thank you, Michelle. All right, Charles, you're up. 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm grateful to all of you who gave up your evening to come here. I think it shows you're more than just voters. You're actually engaged voters, which is very critical nowadays. My name is Charlie Sellers. I am running for school board. I'm basically a local product. I went to Escondido when I was 10 years old, graduated from Escondido High. I got a bachelor's and a master's degrees from San Diego State, so I'm locally educated, publicly educated, and I've lived my whole adult life in North County. I've been in Rancho Penasquitos since 1986. I spent 8 years working for a large, major international accounting firm, and then I went out and started my own firm and did that for 20 years. Sold it. Taught at San Diego State for a couple of years, and now I work for a firm in Rancho Bernardo. My background is different from anyone who's on the board or even anyone who's running. I'm an accountant. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's a very useful skill. And I think we could use more of it at the district level. I think that the financial problems that we've had. In fact, I agree completely with Michelle's act. I just put an F on the front of it to say fact, and the F is fiscal responsibility, which we haven't had enough of, and we need someone who's experienced at understanding what that is. One of the things that I did, part and parcel to TJ's passage of the pension reform, is that I served on the audit committee that was created by that legislation. And the audit committee basically went to the city, and it was in charge of supervising all financial operations of the city. And in the 4 years that we were there, we issued 5 years worth of financial statements. We basically set the city up to run within its means, and we created some structure and some communication that didn't exist previously, and I'm proud to have been a part of that. So I look forward to talking to you more about those experiences.
All right, John, you're next.
Good evening. My name is John Riley, and I'm here to discuss investing in kids and protecting taxpayers. Wanted to thank everyone for coming. Rancho Bernardo Community Council, Rancho Penasquitos Town Council, Melinda, Robin, Allison, thank you for being here. I've lived in this district for 22 years. I'm married. I have 2 children that attend Poway High. I'm a small business owner, but I'm also a teacher. I substitute teach in the Escondido High School District a few days a month. Been very active in the community, served as president of Poway National Little League, served on the City of Poway's Budget Review Committee, served on the Board of Directors for the Chamber of Commerce in Poway, as well as for Character Counts, to bring ethics not only into our schools, but into our business community. So I have a great passion for what happens in the area where my family resides. I got into this race because of the $1 billion bond. I was outraged when I learned that 10% of the money was going to kids and 90% was going to financial interests. I believed we needed a change in leadership, and that's why I stepped forward and built my campaign around investing in kids and protecting taxpayers. I put together a 4-point plan to execute. Point number 1 is to prioritize the classroom, to make sure that we're giving our teachers the necessary resources, training, and supplies so that they can be most effective in teaching our kids. I want to continue to attract the best teachers and to expand on our great academic brand. Point 2 is fiscal responsibility. I want to balance the budget with community input, and I want to avoid bond issuances like our current $1 billion cap. Point 3 is about transparency. I want to protect the interests of Melrose taxpayers who are seeing their money siphoned off. I want to also ensure there's competitive bid review. And point 4 is to empower parents to allow them to select the Poway school of their choice. My name is John Riley, and my campaign is about investing in kids and protecting taxpayers. Thank you.
Mr. Gutschall.
Well, I will add my welcome to that of the other candidates. I appreciate you all being here tonight. My name is Todd Gutschall. I've had the honor of serving on your school board for the past 8 years. I grew up in Wisconsin. I went off to college in the Boston area. I was the first in my family to attend and graduate from college. I got a bachelor's degree in physics from Harvard. I moved to San Diego in 1983 to start a career in the software industry. In 1986, I was fortunate enough to be part of a 2-person team that started HNC Software, and over the next 16 years we grew HNC from 2 people to 1,300 people and $230 million in annual revenues. I moved into the district 25 years ago with my wife and 3 boys. My boys have gone through Poway School District from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. They've now all graduated from college, and they all are employed in jobs for which they went to college, which is pretty cool. You know, when you have kids, you get involved in lots of things. So I've been involved in leadership roles in scouting and soccer and Little League baseball and basketball and wrestling and all those sorts of things. But when I retired, I started looking for more than that, and I got very involved in public education reform. I serve on the board of Classroom of the Future Foundation, which is a county-wide entity. I serve on the board of Avid Center, which is a national education reform effort, and several other things. And I was started volunteering and working with the school district at about the same time, and as I said, was elected to the board in 2006. My chief and primary interest and focus moving forward is the success of our students, not just their academic success, but also their social emotional success. and coupling that with improving our budget situation are my two main priorities. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Mark Davis. It's been my privilege to serve on the school board for the last 4 years. Thank you for coming tonight. By way of background, I'm a native San Diegan. I graduated through San Diego City Schools, went off to Brigham Young University and earned a degree in economics. Found a beautiful gal there to marry me, and we came back to San Diego and had a big family. We have 7 children, 4 of whom have graduated through Poway High School, and we still have a couple in the system. Professionally, I'm a certified financial planner. In 1994, I started a business that we now have about 250 clients and manage about $100 million for clients. So my expertise lies in those areas. From a volunteer standpoint, I think all of us have probably similar backgrounds. I've worked in youth soccer and Little League and Boy Scouts of America for 20 years. I've served extensively in various lay ministry positions within my church. Probably my busiest assignment right now is as the Vice President of the Salvation Army Countywide Metropolitan Advisory Board. That's an organization I support wholeheartedly. Our award-winning school district is something that we all should be very proud of. At every campus, our children are receiving an excellent education in safe and modern facilities. They learn from high-quality teachers, they have excellent support staff, and they have opportunities to explore their passions in a broad range of extracurricular activities. This is unique in public schools. Our top-rated district didn't become this way accidentally, and our community should be very proud. People move here because of our schools, and this culture of excellence can be lost. So it took consistent leadership. I believe I've provided consistent leadership moving forward the district during the 4 years that I've been on the board, and I would hope to be reelected. My job is really to put the tools in the hands of our teachers and staff to be successful, to do whatever it takes to make that happen, and that's what I've done. And if you look at the scoreboard of our results, campus by campus, we have a lot to be proud of.
I want to thank Robin and Melinda again for putting this town council, this panel together, and Allison for being the moderator. I know you heard that a lot, or you've heard it a lot so far, but I'm thankful for it. My name is Jeannie Fulbright, and I'm the proud mother of 2 Poway Unified School District graduates. Thank you, Robin. And a little bit about myself. I've lived in the community for over 20 years. I've worked in finance for over 20 years. And I think that gives me a little bit different background. My finance career is corporate finance, and that means that I have gone through corporate bonds, and gone private and gone public with companies. And I've read a lot of documents and know what those documents say and how to read them. One of the reasons I ran was obviously the $1 billion bond. That was a big deal to me. One of the reasons it was so big is because I don't want to have to prevent my children living in the same district they grew up in because it's so expensive for them. This is very important to me. Another reason I ran, Common Core. I think that we need to really pay attention to this implementation and find out how much it costs and what that means to our kids and what it's going to take away from them. The last reason, a lot of people haven't probably heard of, is the locally controlled funding formula. That formula is basically going to shift over, I think, 10 years, $18 billion away from suburban schools to urban schools. And that is going to make a huge deal to Poway Unified School District. My name is Jeannie Fulbright, and I hope to get your support. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie Newbanks. I'm also running, as you might have guessed. I'd like to thank the Rancho Bernardo Community Council and the Mosquitoes Town Council for having us here today. A little bit about me. I grew up in Rancho Bernardo, Westwood actually. I attended elementary school, middle school, and high school in the Poway Unified School District. My children now attend school at Westwood Elementary and Bernardo Heights Middle School. I've also worked in the Poway Unified School District teaching as a substitute teacher. So I feel I have a unique view of the district and what the needs are and how those might be served just because I've seen it from all angles. I got my bachelor's degree in communication, my master's degree is in education. I volunteer at both of my daughter's schools with the Girl Scouts, Booster Clubs Foundation, PTA, as mentioned, my cohorts do as well. I have a few, 3 major things that I'm working for. I would like to see more communication, a clear communication between the board and the community. I would also like to see more money going to our schools and our students. And most importantly, I feel that we've lost a lot of our great programs and our extracurricular activities, especially at the elementary and the junior high level. And I would really like to see us bringing more of that back to make more well-rounded students and students that are able to experience the arts and extracurricular activities like I did when I was a student here. I am endorsed by the Evolve community, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
And Robin didn't have to beat anybody up. Good job, candidates. All right, so now you each have 90 seconds to answer questions written by the community. And Michelle, you start this time. Okay, what are you going to do about class size?
Good question. This is one of the priorities of our district. We're trying to take it down a little at a time. If you can believe it, the average core class size in high school right now is 50. I couldn't believe that number. Incredible. Way too high. What can we do about that? We only get so much funding from the state. Again, the LCFF has really crippled our district again. We're not getting money. We don't have enough low-income foster children and English learners in our district to get higher amounts of money there. It's about prioritizing, and our local control funding formula isn't helping us get more money, but the plan, the local plan could help. The community is going to be asked to bring their priorities to the school district, to the board. We need to hear that this is important. If it's important to the community, it's going to be important for our local control plan. And we can allocate some of our monies towards reducing class size reduction more than we already are. And I think this is I know this is a priority for the teachers in our district as well. It's really not possible to give students the individualized attention to make sure that they're learning at the highest level possible when you have 50 kids sitting in your classroom. Gone are the days when, K through 3, you had 20 kids in the classroom at elementary school level. Now it's much higher there too. We're not talking about 50 in elementary, but it's a lot. Okay, I quit. Thank you very much.
Just keep going, we'll do better.
You're not looking at me.
Gotcha. Everybody else is.
As I mentioned, I'm an accountant. I'm not a career educator, but I have taught at the university level, so I do understand what it takes to succeed at the next level when people leave Poway Unified. I also know what it's like to teach with more students than you have resources to give. The classes that I taught were slotted for 35 people. There was one semester when I had 55 per class. That's because I never turned away a crasher, not one. Because I had been there, I had been one, and I wanted these people to get the public education that they deserved and had been promised. I think that cutting class size may be an unrealistic goal based upon the future that we're facing. I think one of the things that may be more realistic is bringing in help for the teachers, because the teachers don't spend all their time teaching. They spend grading, preparing, et cetera, et cetera. And I know at the university level, as an adjunct faculty, I didn't have a lot of that help. I had to do most of it myself, but the professors in the ivory tower, they got graduate assistants and people who could help them focus their time on teaching and learning rather than the grunt work of being a teacher, which is the grading and everything else. And I think that's maybe where we're going to have to start focusing our budgetary resources rather than trying to reduce the class size measure. Thank you.
All right, who's going to pass the mic down? That's the long forward.
Thank you. Reducing class size is a very noble goal, but it's a very expensive goal. So it really falls into the list of competing priorities for education. what is priority 1, 2, 3? How do we slot those? The city of Poway is one of the most well-run cities in our region, and they have a built-in process to bring the community in to establish priorities on how government monies are spent. They have town hall meetings where the community comes in a forum just like this, and the council listens and understands how to stack rank priorities. The city of Poway also has a citizen budget review committee that invites citizens in to go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb to ensure that the highest priorities are fully funded and that low priorities are managed appropriately and waste is cut and a balanced budget is delivered with necessary reserves. So there is a process to do this, to really go with the community and evaluate all the priorities, stack rank the priorities. Smaller class sizes is a very noble goal, but it's very expensive, and it really needs to be managed in a prioritized fashion.
Thank you. Uh-oh. Scared me. As the other candidates that have spoken on this have mentioned, class size is important, but it is expensive. In fact, it costs about $3 million a year to reduce class size by 1 student across our entire school system. So that's a number to keep in mind. It is about setting priorities. That's certainly true. And we have processes both at the district level for community input on budget priorities. And more importantly, we currently have processes at the school site level for providing input opportunities for parents and other members through our site plans. So that process is already in the works, and that's how we build our budget, is around those sorts of priorities. That's happening today. Class size, we've been bringing class size down. We were able to bring core class sizes at our high school level and our freshman and 10th grade levels down into the lower 40s. That's where we stand today. We still have some classes that are large. PE tends to be a large class. Our middle schools are certainly much too high, and our elementary schools are also too high at this point in time. But it is something that, without additional funding, is going to be very difficult to impact. And I think that with proper management, as we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years during the budget cut times, we've been able to manage and do pretty well with the class sizes that we have. Thank you.
Good answers. I don't really disagree with much that's been said. It's a challenging issue. When the recession hit so deeply about 5 years ago, our district offered our early retirement program for our teachers. About 120 teachers took that early retirement, and we didn't replace those 120 teachers. We allowed the class sizes to go up as a way to balance our budget during that time. And so over the last year and a half or so, we've been able to pull those class sizes down incrementally by just 2 or 3 students per class size. It's a very expensive thing. It's something for you to understand that our budget, 84% of our budget goes to pay people, human beings, 84%. Teachers, classified employees, bus drivers, all types of support staff. And so if you're going to reduce class size, you have to increase people. So that means you would have to increase that 84% up to 86, 90%, whatever it is, which means you have to cut out that 15, 16% allocation to the other things, utilities and supplies and all the other things that you have. San Diego Unified at one time got up to 93% of their budget was going to people and only 7% to things, which was the priority they chose. But if you look at our facilities, if you look at the opportunities that our kids have in those facilities, we believe that our resource allocation is appropriate. So this is going to be an incremental thing. It's going to be a slight improvement year after year. It's something we negotiate with all of our bargaining units, but don't think that there's a magic wand that's going to drop our class sizes back to where it was.
Class sizes are very, very important, and I think that we should maximize the budget that we have to find the money to make our class sizes smaller, especially among the younger children, because that's where they really need the special attention and evaluations that they may need to find out if they have any reading or math problems that should be concentrated on. I think there's always something in the budget that is that can be used to help in these situations. One example is the $145,000 that's been voted on for closed caption TV to record the board meetings. Now, we've got beautiful AV departments at these Poway Unified School District high schools, maybe some even in some of the middle schools. Why not get a student to film it and give them credit for it? I mean, I think there are ways that we can think outside the box to try and get to get more money towards these younger children.
I, of course, agree with everybody on the table. We all agree that class sizes are important, and it should be a priority. It should be something that we're working towards getting these class sizes down. I think that was a great solution. I like that idea. I think thinking outside of the box is what we need to do. Creative solutions. How about adding 0 period and 7th period at the middle school and high school levels to spread out the teachers? Then you're only paying the teacher for same teachers who are already working there. You are paying them for an extra class a day, which is not adding up to an entire teacher, yet you're able to spread the classes out a little further. Creative solutions and making it a priority are how we're going to work together to get the class sizes down to what is not just manageable, but where the kids are actually being productive and blessed.
All right.
Now I'm last. I'm going to take just a second of my time and blame this on the antihistamine I took a couple hours ago, but I forgot to mention the reason for what makes life worth living in my bio. As my wife and my 3 kids, I have an 11-year-old boy who attends Black Mountain Middle School. I graduated Los Penn Elementary School in June, and I have a 3-year-old little boy and a 4-month-old little girl. I suppose, and also notice I'm going to recognize school board member Beatty who walked in, and thank you for your service on the board. Thanks for coming here tonight. I could use all this time because I don't want to be repetitive with everything else that was said here. Yes, class size is important, reducing it. I'm not going to say something silly like we'll just make the classrooms bigger and the classes seem smaller. But it all comes down to money. It all comes down to money. You've heard that in various ways up here this evening. And I think a couple candidates have expressed some creative ways of addressing that. One is bringing in different types of resources, maybe they're not teachers, but they help lessen the load for the teachers to enable them to teach more students that are in the classroom. And I like Jeannie's idea as well. So I think that there's uniformity on this issue here.
All right, so next question. This is a good one. Now the gloves start to come off. Let's start with Charles this time, correct?
Yes.
Just go down the line. Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure I had it right. All right, how do you plan to get us out of this bond debacle? And that was not my word, that was.
Yeah, I call it the colossal blunder, quite frankly, in most of my literature. The answer has not presented itself. There's a proposal before the board presently that they're considering. And I think it deserves a lot more scrutiny before a decision is made. In fact, I'm a little resentful that they've put this forward now during an election, because I think it's a way to distract it or sort of smokescreen from the fact that it exists at all. So I don't have the answer in front of me. I do believe we need to keep searching, find more proposals, and when we do find proposals that work, we need to get competitive bids on those proposals. I think that, I lost my train of thought. I think that, the fact that this has happened in the first place should lead everyone to question who they want making the decision. Clearly something has to be done. Are the 2 incumbents that are running for re-election the ones you want making that decision? They put us in this hole in the first place, and I think that you need to give serious consideration to not just what it is we're going to do, but who you want to make that decision, because I don't think the solution has presented itself yet. But I do think that when the time comes, it's going to take a lot more analysis, and I'd like to be one of the ones to perform it.
Yeah, the $1 billion bond has put us into a pickle, that's for sure. It's a non-callable bond, which means it can't be refinanced. So effectively, our hands are largely tied on how to handle this. Now, there is a proposal that the board is presenting to the community to restructure a portion of the bond, but really it would only transform it from a $1 billion bond to maybe a $900 million bond. It is still an issue that kicks the can down the road. It is burdens future taxpayers. It is still an issue that where only 10% are going to kids and 90% are going to other financial interests. So is there a way out of this? As Charles said, a solution to solve the problem has not presented itself. We need to see alternative proposals to come forward. The current proposal that's in front of us is to raise taxes on all property tax owners with the hope of reducing the debt load, which is suspect to begin with. The Voice of San Diego produced an article that said it was largely a smokescreen, that this particular solution may not work at all. But I will say this, is that if for any reason a tax increase is a necessary element of this, I will not vote for it as a board member. I will only approve a tax increase if the voters choose to increase taxes on themselves. Any tax increase must go to voters.
So let's go back for a second to 2008. In February of 2008, 64% of the voters in our district said, we want you, the school district, to modernize and fix up our schools so that our students have quality learning facilities in which to attend each and every day to study and to achieve their academic potential. That's what they asked for. And the work that was done was not cosmetic. This wasn't just making schools pretty. This was fundamental infrastructure change. This was fixing bathrooms where sewage would back up on occasions. This was putting electrical utility panels in to allow technology to be used. This was taking out asbestos and making our schools safe for our students. With that notion, the district promised not to raise the tax rate more than $55 per 100,000. That's what we promised in 2008, and that's what we have done every year since. When this bond opportunity was presented, maybe opportunity is the wrong word, when we had to make a decision on how to put long-term financing in place, we had two choices: raise taxes in 2011 or do this long-term cap structure. We chose the long-term cap structure to honor our commitment to the taxpayers of this district, not to raise taxes. That's what we did.
This is a great issue to beat the school board up over. But nobody beats the school board up over the beautiful schools that are right next to your homes and which have kept your property values high. Nobody beats the school board up about having a beautiful $100 million improvement to Poway High School, which has provided better learning opportunities to our kids. Yeah, tremendous learning opportunities. I mean, we had bungalows out there, we had sewage backup problems, we had asbestos. We had second-rate facilities in our schools on the west side of our district or on the east side of our district when compared to the west side. So everybody loves the new facilities and they love the fact that it drove up property values. What they don't like is the fact that when they voted for the initiative in 2008, they instructed the board, borrow $179 million, but don't start payments on this until you pay off the old 2002 bonds. By definition, that means you're going to use capital appreciation bonds. Capital appreciation bonds aren't something crazy. They're basically savings bonds. You guys have all bought savings bonds. The U.S. government has sold savings bonds, Liberty bonds, bonds all the way back to the Civil War like this. They're not unusual. They're simply accumulated interest. So, are they expensive? Yes. Because the voters said, don't increase our taxes in 2008, issue cabs, and let that stretch out over a number of years. I'd be happy to drill into the minute details with any person here about how it will affect your own home, what your prices are, what your tax base will be, but please don't listen to the hyperbole and the demagoguery. I gotta keep talking. No, I'm sorry. Don't buy into the hyperbole.
Robin? Well, I echo Mr. Riley and what he said. I think that this is a very perplexing problem, and it's going to take a lot of brain power to try and solve it, and people who understand finances. people understand what this means to our future and to our children's future. This starts 17 years from now. The interest payments start 17 years from now. This is something that really isn't going to affect me that much. I'll be moving on in my years, hopefully not. But I will be moving on in my years. This is going to affect future homeowners and business owners, property tax payers. And I would imagine that in about 10 years, we're going to have to disclose this on our sale of homes, just to make sure that the future owner knows that this burden is coming their way. And that will bring down the home prices. And at that time, too, all of these schools that have been built with this bond money will need more repair. And who knows what the voters will say at that point after they just bought a house that has a lot more in taxes. Thank you.
So what are we going to do about it? I don't know at this point. We've heard some great suggestions, possibly, but the one thing we don't need to do is jump into something without doing the proper research on it. And we have time. The one thing we have on this is time. So let's look at other options. Let's bring other people to the table. Take it out to the community. Let's see if we can come up with something that's going to not kill us on taxes now and certainly not in the future. Let's see if we can find a better solution, something that is agreed that we can live with.
No question, it's quite a complicated issue. I don't think anybody up here pretends to have a solution to it just yet. We're listening to ideas. But one of the things I was heartened to hear, and I agree with one of the sentiments that was expressed, I'm in the camp of not wanting to take a blowtorch to every aspect of the district over the single cab issue. There's too many other great things about Poway Unified. And again, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anybody sitting at this table who would ever go for anything like the cab that was passed before in the future. So I was heartened, actually, and it's been very refreshing to hear a lot of the community input, particularly at the last public forum that was held at RV High. I think it's a fundamental question of morality or ethics, and to hear a number of voters from the district say that they may be willing to have their taxes increased, to start paying for this now, rather than burden their kids and grandkids down the road, freeing up some bonding capacity for the district in the interim, or in the process rather. I think that's a vote that needs to go to the people. And I think that the voters will decide whether they want to start paying on this now, or if they want to push it off another generation.
Yes, we needed to fix up some of our older schools. They were getting run down. They had some really fundamental problems that needed fixing. But let's not pretend that this is the only possible way we could have done it. When the board told voters that they could fix up those old schools without new taxes, they're breaking the first law of public finance. The people who benefit are the people who should have to pay. You can't get something for nothing. We all know this. This is standard stuff. Why did it come up in the first place? Again, this goes back to the board back then. The cost overruns in construction were allowed to happen over and over again. They had to go back to the voters and say, whoops, sorry, over budget, we need more. We need 180 more. We need 100 more. The voters said, yes, yes, anything for the kids, which is great. But this was very irresponsibly done. The board are trustees, not just of today's students, but of the students of the future, the ones who aren't even born yet. I think about 2051, this could be my 7-year-old's kids. That is disturbing to me on several levels. Again, the new proposal, let me talk about that for 18 seconds. It's it may have some merit. We need a lot more input. There's no way I would support that without a vote of the people. Again, there's no rush. 2016 is just enough time to get the information out to the public. A lot more communication, a lot more information. The public's not getting what they need to make the right choices here yet.
Well done. Got it all in, okay. So, next question now, and Mr. Riley, you will be starting this one. What type of applicable experience do you have that would be beneficial to being on the school board?
My experience and be beneficial to the school board, I'd be happy to comment on that. I just want to make one comment about the previous question. My colleague, Mr. Davis, said that the cabs are not crazy. Well, they're illegal now. They were so crazy. So I think that was an irresponsible type of financing, and to suggest they're not crazy is just nonsensical. My background, I have a degree in mathematics and computer science from UC San Diego. I funded my way through college as a tutor of high school students, teaching them algebra and geometry. That was a big part of the way that I paid for my college education. I seriously considered going into teaching when I got out of school, but the pay for teachers was not at the level that I could have gotten in the computer science field, so I pursued a different career. But now I'm a small business owner. I have a fiduciary responsibility to balance my budget, take care of my customers, and take care of all stakeholders in my business, and those skills are directly applicable as a member of the school board. I'm also a teacher. I'm the only candidate up here at this table that is actually a K through 12 teacher. I have an emergency teaching credential that allows me to be a substitute teacher, where I teach in the Escondido Union High School District about once or twice a month as my schedule permits. So I have insight to the challenges that teachers and children are facing in the classroom. Thank you.
Well, I would say part of what qualifies me to be on the school board is that I am on the school board. And I've been on the school board for the last 8 years through arguably the most difficult budgetary challenges in the history of California. And we had to make a lot of very tough choices. And we made those choices keeping our focus on the classroom at all times. We kept cuts as far away from students and teachers in the classroom as we possibly could. We weren't perfect. We didn't make great decisions every single time. But if you look at what we were able to accomplish, and if you look at where our district is today compared to others, I think it's pretty clear we made darn good decisions most of the time. I also, as I mentioned in my opening, I grew a company from 2 people with nothing to an organization that was worldwide with 1,300 employees and $230 million in annual revenue, and at one point a market capitalization of $1.1 billion. I think I know a little bit about running a large organization, and the thing I know about running a large organization is you have to have trust and confidence in staff to manage things and to do things well. You hire good people, you put in good process, you monitor and audit that process, and good things happen. We have that in Poway Unified, and that's why we have the kind of success we have. We have a board that knows what its role is, and we have a board that has been able to successfully work with an outstanding superintendent and teaching staff to do good work for kids.
Thank you. Like Todd, I've been on the board for the last 4 years, and that's been a sharp learning curve. You learn a lot on the board. I tell people I spend 15 to 20 hours a week typically. If you add that up over 52 weeks times 4 years, that's a lot of experience. That's thousands of hours of experience in the minutia of school operations. I also completed through the California School Board Association a program called a Masters in Governance, and committed 9 all-day Saturdays to be trained by specialists from up and down the state in all aspects of school operations, labor relations, collective bargaining agreements, budgets, capital